My parents divorced, and I lived with my father, who was fond of gambling and alcoholism, and gave me to the gambler as a bargaining chip, and from then on began a nightmarish life, in which he disappeared in the smoke and noise of the gambling table, and left behind is my endless waiting and tears. Gambling debts, like an invisible chain, bound him firmly and dragged me into endless darkness. That stormy night became the eternal pain in my life. In his father's eyes, there is no hesitation and perseverance, only determination and indifference. Like a useless object, he handed me over to the grim-faced, mean-spirited gamblers. At that moment, it was as if I had been abandoned by the whole world, and all the light and warmth had gone away from me, leaving only endless darkness and cold. At the hands of gamblers, I experienced horrors and tortures I had never experienced before. The cold basement became my prison. Hunger and cold go hand in hand. They are like two invisible beasts, biting my body and soul day and night. And the physical pain is just the tip of the iceberg. What really makes me despair is the destruction and trampling of the soul. That gambler, with all his drugs and money, sees me as a plaything, ravaging my body and my dignity. Every violation and insult is like a sharp knife. It's etched in my heart, and it kills me. Fate, however, does not seem ready to let it go. In the eyes of a gambler, I am nothing more than a commodity to be traded at will. I've been tossed around like a helpless lamb among demons, forced to follow that dirty and humiliating path. I became that twisted world, the most humble existence, with a body, in exchange for a meager chance to survive. Every time the betrayal and humiliation let me feel like a knife, but I was unable to resist, can only silently bear all this suffering. Just when I was almost swallowed by despair, the appearance of the snakehead gave me a faint glimmer of hope. He picked the prettiest girls to serve their bosses, and I'm kind of good looking. I knew this was my one chance, though hope was as fragile as a candle that could go out at any moment. When I saw the fleshy, drunken man, I forced myself to fight for this opportunity with all my strength. I twisted my soft waist, I made myself look dusky and seduced, tacky and revealed the backbone, forced the nausea, with the adoration and affection in my eyes. Let's just say I did everything I could to get the attention of the man who seemed to make me sick. I was indeed in his face, but that night of humiliation and pain almost let me collapse. My survival instinct is telling me that I can't give up, that this is probably my only chance to escape this hell. Over time, I gradually found my place in that man's world, but I know that this is only a temporary peace. The real danger and test is still to come. I carefully hid my true feelings and intentions, and used all my wisdom to please him, flatter him, and let him find a different feeling in me. My heart grew hard and cold in the pain and struggle, but I knew it was the only way for me to survive. Finally, by chance, I managed to get in touch with the police. At that moment, I seemed to see the dawn of life, but also knew that this road is full of unknown and dangerous. I became a police informant and began secretly gathering evidence of the crime. Every day there was like walking on a knife point. I had to be vigilant and calm at all times, and not let anyone find out my true identity and intentions. Despite the pain and fear in my heart, my eyes grew stronger and stronger, because I knew that this was the only path to freedom and justice for me. After countless days and nights of suffering and waiting, the police finally took action. Under their careful planning, the criminal organization that once made my life a living hell was dismantled. When the sun broke through the clouds again and fell on me, I burst into tears. But this time the tears are no longer a vent of pain and humiliation, but a farewell to the past suffering and hope for the future life. The road to freedom has not been easy, although the body has left that filthy hell. The trauma of the mind is like a scar deeply imprinted on the soul and cannot be easily removed. The indifference and prejudice of the outside world, like a sharp ice pick, stabbed my heart again and again that has not yet healed. I tried to fit in, but found that my past was like an invisible wall that kept me out of the crowd. I got a job, trying to prove myself through hard work, but every interview, when the interviewer learned about my past, that kind of disdain and disdain eyes made me feel torn. I know that they see not only my past, but also the prejudice and misunderstanding of the whole group. I tried to explain, but every time the explanation seemed so feeble, only to get more indifference and ridicule. There's more to life than that. I rented a simple apartment, small space, shabby furniture, but became my only haven. In the dead of night, those terrible memories would flood in, drowning me in endless darkness and fear. I've asked myself countless times, why do I have to endure all this? Why did fate treat me so cruelly? But every time the question can only be exchanged for more heavy silence and despair. In the midst of this despair, I unexpectedly found a glimmer of light. There was a group of people who had also experienced suffering, and they told me with their own experiences that no matter how cruel the fate is, as long as we don't give up on ourselves, we will be able to find our own light. We support each other, encourage each other, accompanied by each other, gradually out of the shadow of the soul. I began to participate in public welfare activities and use my experience to help others in the same predicament. I tell them that no matter how bad the past is, as long as we face it bravely, accept it, and transcend it, we will find our own happiness and freedom. I use my own actions to prove this, but also let more people see hope and light. Gradually, I regained my dignity and worth. I realized that I was not an orphan abandoned by fate. but a strong person with unlimited possibilities who could create his own future. I went to learn new skills, make new friends, and pursue my dreams. Although the process was full of hardships and challenges, I never gave up, because I know that only through continuous efforts and struggle can I become stronger and more courageous. Now I am no longer the child consumed by darkness. With my own experience and efforts, I have proved that no matter how cruel and heartless the fate is, as long as there is light in the heart, hope, and courage to face all difficulties and challenges, we will be able to walk out of the haze, meet the light, and create our own bright future.